Emily gasped as she read the message on her phone, her heart plummeting into a chasm of disbelief. Mark, her closest friend, had betrayed her trust in silence, and the truth felt like icy water down her spine. Memories of laughter and promises flashed violently, each one now a cruel reminder of what was lost. How could someone she trusted above all else turn so cold, so distant? The words were few but devastating, piercing her soul with silent cruelty. Emily clenched her fists, the room spinning as the weight of betrayal anchored her chest. She had loved him like a brother. And now, nothing felt real. Emily sank into the couch, the city lights bleeding through her blinds. She recalled every secret shared with Mark, every laughter-filled night, and felt a sharp twist in her chest. Trust had been her anchor. Now it was gone. She whispered aloud, "I can't believe this is real." The apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt hollow. Shadows of betrayal stretched across the walls, and every echo reminded her of the closeness she had lost. She clutched a pillow as if it could shield her from the cold truth. Silence pressed in, and even the hum of the city outside seemed accusatory. She remembered Mark's smile, once warm, now a mask. Every word he had spoken, every promise, felt hollow. Emily ran her fingers through her hair, anger mixing with sorrow. How could someone I trusted so completely? The room seemed smaller, the air thicker. Her mind raced through every detail, searching for clues she had missed. She imagined confrontation, yet feared what she might discover. Each memory was a knife. Each laugh now echoed with betrayal. Her heart thudded painfully, an involuntary drum of grief and confusion. Emily's mind replayed the moment she discovered the betrayal, each second stretching into eternity. She pictured Mark laughing with someone else, sharing secrets meant for her alone. Rage coiled in her stomach. "He didn't just betray me. He betrayed us," she whispered. Every corner of her memory screamed his duplicity. The air seemed thick, heavy with unspoken words. She clenched her fists and let herself feel the pain fully, knowing she could never unsee what she now knew. Night had fallen, and the apartment mirrored the darkness in her chest. Her phone buzzed. Another message from Mark, casual, as if nothing had happened. Emily froze, staring at the screen, a storm of disbelief and anger colliding inside her. "You can't just act like nothing's broken," she muttered, voice shaking. The betrayal was fresh, raw, and unrelenting. She paced the room, replaying every interaction, every subtle hint she had ignored. Love and loyalty had been traded for silence and lies. She felt hollow yet determined. She had to face the truth, no matter how devastating. Emily stared at Mark across the dimly lit cafe, her pulse a drum in her ears. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the distant clatter of cups. She remembered the days when their laughter filled every corner, now replaced with a void. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, voice trembling. Mark's eyes darted away, guilt painting his features. He opened his mouth, then closed it, words trapped in the tight cage of regret. Every memory they shared flashed violently, and Emily felt the ache of loss deepen. She realized betrayal was not just an act, it was a slow, corrosive silence. Mark shifted uncomfortably, avoiding Emily's gaze. "I didn't want to hurt you," he said softly, words heavy with regret. Emily shook her head, disbelief flashing across her features. "Hurt me? You shattered everything silently," she snapped. The cafe felt smaller, closing in with each passing second. Memories of shared secrets and laughter now stabbed like shards of glass. Her hands trembled around her coffee cup, spilling warmth she didn't feel. Silence returned, thick and suffocating. Emily realized trust, once lost, could never be fully reclaimed. Emily pushed her chair back abruptly, standing tall despite the tremor in her legs. "I can't pretend this didn't happen," she said, voice cracking but steady. Mark rose too, guilt shadowing his features. The clink of furniture echoed their fractured reality. Words they once shared so freely now felt impossible to reach. The weight of everything unsaid between them hung like fog. Emily's chest burned with betrayal and grief, but a spark of resolve flickered. She wouldn't let silence dictate her future, even if it meant walking away from the only person she had trusted. Emily stepped toward the window, looking out at the rain-soaked streets. "Do you even understand what you've done?" she asked quietly. Mark's voice faltered, his eyes unable to meet hers. I thought I was protecting you," he admitted. Emily's heart ached as betrayal twisted into a confusing mix of anger and sorrow. Each raindrop mirrored her thoughts. Relentless, cold, unavoidable. She realized some wounds couldn't be mended with explanations. Words might come too late, and silence could never truly forgive itself. Emily turned abruptly, facing Mark fully, tears streaking her face. "I loved our friendship more than anything," she said, voice breaking. Mark's jaw tightened, regret deepening every line of his face. "I know," he whispered, barely audible. The silence afterward was heavy, suffocating but honest. Emily realized some bridges, once burned by silence and betrayal, could not be rebuilt. Her resolve hardened. She would step away, carry the pain, and find a path to heal. Mark watched helplessly, knowing the truth he had buried now defined the distance between them. Emily walked along the empty city streets, rain-soaked pavement reflecting neon lights. Each step echoed the weight of her heartbreak and resolve. Memories of Mark flickered like fractured film in her mind. She clenched her coat tighter, feeling a storm both inside and above. "I need to find myself again," she whispered, the sound lost in the drizzle. Every shop window mirrored fragments of her grief and determination. Nights like this made the past feel suffocating, yet strangely clarifying. Emily knew healing required distance, honesty, and acceptance. The city's hum was both companion and witness to her quiet decision. Mark sat on a park bench, city lights blurred behind him. He replayed every word, every missed signal with Emily. His hands gripped his knees, knuckles white with regret. "I let her go with silence when I should have fought," he murmured. Shadows of the trees danced across his face as wind rustled the leaves. Every decision weighed heavily, teaching him that truth unspoken could destroy more than mistakes. He realized love required courage, even when fear whispered to retreat. The night deepened around him, yet clarity began to pierce the fog of guilt. Emily paused at the bridge, water below rippling under faint streetlights. She exhaled slowly, letting the wind carry away fragments of anger and sorrow. "I can't change what happened," she admitted to herself. Memories of laughter and love mingled with betrayal, forming a bittersweet mosaic. Each heartbeat reinforced her decision to move forward, embrace clarity over chaos. The city pulsed silently around her, indifferent, yet intimate. She realized endings were also beginnings, fragile and trembling, but her courage anchored her. Step by step, she began to reclaim herself from shadows past. Mark approached the same bridge cautiously, hesitant steps echoing against metal. Seeing Emily's silhouette made his chest tighten. "I don't expect forgiveness," he called softly, voice trembling. She turned, eyes meeting his, holding a mixture of sorrow and strength. "I've learned to walk alone," she replied, voice steady but gentle. Silence lingered between them, heavy yet honest. Words were no longer weapons but acknowledgments of truth. The night air, cool and sharp, seemed to cleanse their shared pain. They understood some separations were acts of love, not defeat. Emily turned away slowly, stepping onto the bridge path, her steps light but purposeful. Mark remained, hands in pockets, watching her recede with quiet acceptance. Their journey had fractured, yet clarity and honesty illuminated a path forward. The city hummed around them, indifferent yet intimate, carrying echoes of their past. Emily felt a strange peace, knowing love had taught her resilience. Mark realized regret could not reverse time, but could shape better choices ahead. Both embraced solitude as a teacher. In their separate paths, the city held fragments of growth, heartbreak, and new beginnings, silent but eternal witnesses. Emily entered the abandoned warehouse, echoes bouncing off cracked walls. Dust danced in the shafts of sunlight, piercing broken windows. She felt both fear and determination tightening her chest. Memories of past betrayals clung to the corners like shadows. This is where it all ends, she whispered to herself, gripping the small satchel tightly. Every step creaked against the wooden floor, a reminder of fragility. Outside, wind howled through shattered glass, carrying faint city sounds. She drew a deep breath, ready to confront what had been hidden for too long. Courage, fragile yet fierce, ignited inside her. Mark followed cautiously, hesitant but resolute. The warehouse smelled of rust and old wood. He spotted Emily, tense and alert, ready for confrontation. "Emily, wait," he called, voice echoing. She spun around, eyes flashing with fear and defiance. "This isn't what I wanted," he admitted, stepping closer. Shadows shifted with their movements, painting the walls in flickering patterns. Both realized the weight of unspoken truths. The warehouse, once lifeless, now held the tension of confession and revelation. Every heartbeat marked a turning point neither could ignore. They circled each other like wary dancers, hearts pounding in synchrony. Silence stretched, broken only by distant dripping water. Emily's eyes softened, reflecting the sunlight in fragments. "I never stopped caring," she admitted quietly. Mark's expression wavered between hope and remorse. "I've been afraid of losing you again," he said, voice low but firm. Dust swirled around their feet, caught in stray rays. The warehouse seemed to breathe with them, tense and alive. Both realized that confrontation was no longer about blame, but understanding. They needed to release the past to grasp the present. Emily extended a hand, hesitating, as if testing reality. Mark stepped forward slowly, trembling slightly. Their fingers met, a spark of reconciliation and hope bridging the distance. Tears glistened in her eyes, not of sorrow, but relief. "We've been carrying too much weight," she whispered. Mark nodded, exhaling, letting go of the fear that had bound him. Dust motes swirled around their joined hands, reflecting golden sunlight. The warehouse, once ominous, now felt sacred, a sanctuary of growth and forgiveness. In this moment, they realized healing required vulnerability, courage, and trust. They stepped toward the exit together, light flooding in through shattered windows. Emily smiled, feeling the weight of grief lift from her shoulders. Mark matched her pace, courage rebuilding with each step. Outside, the city awaited, indifferent, yet welcoming, reflecting their newfound clarity. "We can start again," Mark said softly. Emily nodded, embracing the possibility without erasing the past. Their shadows stretched long across the cracked concrete, moving together for the first time in weeks. The warehouse behind them held memories but no longer chains. Light, both literal and metaphorical, guided them forward. Emily and Mark stepped into the bustling city streets, sunlight bouncing off glass towers. The hum of life surrounded them, cars, chatter, footsteps, but their focus was on each other. Relief and hope mingled in the quiet spaces between words. "We've endured so much," Emily said softly. Mark squeezed her hand, nodding, eyes scanning the horizon with cautious optimism. The city felt alive, indifferent yet welcoming, a canvas for new beginnings. Each step was lighter than the last, as if the past's weight had loosened. They breathed in the promise of change, hearts synchronized with the rhythm of the streets. They paused at a small cafe, laughter and aromas filling the air. Mark smiled, a rare, unguarded expression. Emily's eyes twinkled, reflecting the sunlight on the table. "Let's just enjoy this moment," she suggested. He agreed, relief softening his posture. The world around them buzzed with ordinary life, yet everything felt extraordinary. They realized that joy wasn't grand. It was found in shared smiles, gentle touches, and unspoken understanding. Time seemed to stretch, allowing them to savor each heartbeat, each glance, each fleeting second. For the first time in a long while, they felt truly present. A soft rain began, sprinkling the streets with reflective silver patterns. Emily laughed, tilting her head to the sky, letting droplets fall on her face. Mark joined, umbrella forgotten, sharing her joy. "Life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful," he said. They danced through puddles, shoes splashing gently, umbrellas abandoned. The city transformed into a canvas of motion and reflection, echoing their release of fear and regret. With each step, they shed old shadows, embracing spontaneity, laughter, and the simplicity of being together. The rain, once an obstacle, became a symbol of renewal. As twilight fell, the city lights flickered on, painting the streets in orange and purple hues. Emily leaned against Mark, content and serene. "We made it through," she whispered. He wrapped an arm around her shoulder, feeling a deep sense of peace. Street musicians played softly nearby, blending into the evening breeze. Everything felt intimate, a world of their own within the urban sprawl. Past struggles felt distant, shadows behind them, replaced by quiet confidence. Together, they understood that love wasn't about avoiding storms, it was about dancing through them hand in hand. They reached a rooftop overlooking the city, lights twinkling like stars below. Silence embraced them, punctuated only by distant traffic. Emily took Mark's hand, squeezing gently. "Here's to us," she said. He nodded, voice steady, "to new beginnings." The skyline stretched infinitely, reflecting endless possibilities. They stood together, shadows merging, hearts aligned with the city's pulse. The past had shaped them, but it no longer defined them. Light, laughter, and love guided their way forward. For the first time, they truly believed that the story wasn't about endings, but the courage to continue together. Emily and Mark arrived at a quiet beach just before dawn. Waves whispered against the shore, carrying the scent of salt and promise. The horizon glowed pale pink, painting the water in gentle shades of orange and lavender. Emily drew in a deep breath, feeling the cool sand between her toes. "It feels endless here," she said softly, eyes tracing the waves as they broke with rhythmic precision. Mark nodded, scanning the horizon with a sense of quiet wonder. The day felt like a blank canvas, each wave a stroke of possibility. They walked along the shore, letting the sound of the sea and the warmth of each other's presence dissolve past worries. The world beyond seemed far away, yet brimming with opportunities, waiting for them to step forward together. They paused by a tide pool, crouching to examine tiny marine life shimmering in clear water. Emily's laughter echoed softly as she pointed to a small crab scuttling across a rock. Mark knelt beside her, his eyes lighting up with the same childlike curiosity he hadn't felt in years. The ocean stretched endlessly behind them, waves reflecting the awakening sky. The moment felt suspended, as if time itself had slowed. Every detail, the sand, the shells, the water droplets on their hands, was alive with texture and color. The day promised clarity, each breath a reminder that life's wonders were often found in quiet observation. They shared smiles, unspoken understanding passing between them, feeling connected not only to each other but to the infinite rhythm of the natural world around them. Later, they climbed a rocky cliff overlooking the ocean. The wind whipped around them, carrying the scent of salt and wildflowers. Emily felt exhilaration coursing through her as she gazed at the endless blue stretching to the horizon. "We've come so far," she said, voice firm but gentle. Mark placed his hand on her shoulder, grounding her as the waves crashed below in foamy bursts. Together they watched the sun climb higher, golden light igniting the water in shimmering patterns. Every breath they drew felt infused with freedom and purpose. The view reminded them that despite storms and shadows in the past, life was vast, full of promise, and they were ready to meet it head-on. Silence enveloped them, comfortable and sacred, filled only by the symphony of wind, waves, and distant seagulls. As noon approached, they settled near a sun-drenched meadow overlooking the coast. Emily spread a blanket on soft grass, laughter spilling as Mark helped her arrange a small picnic. The wind moved in patterns, rustling wildflowers and carrying the scent of the sea inland. Sunlight danced across their faces, highlighting the joy etched in their expressions. Every ending is just the start of something new, Mark mused. Emily nodded, feeling the weight of old burdens lift with each gentle breeze. They shared stories and quiet laughter. The world beyond the meadow irrelevant for this perfect moment. Nature seemed to embrace them, offering warmth, color, and a sense of infinite possibility. Together they felt renewed, grounded, and ready for the journeys ahead. As the sun began to set, the sky transformed into a symphony of orange, purple, and deep blue. Emily and Mark walked hand in hand along the cliffside path, silhouettes outlined against the fading light. Each step felt like a celebration of endurance and newfound courage. They paused at the highest point, gazing at the horizon where the sky kissed the ocean. "We've grown, we've survived, and now we create," Emily whispered. Mark nodded, his eyes reflecting the sunset, the waves, and the limitless future ahead. Together they embraced the beauty of this moment, knowing that life's chapters were infinite, and that their story was only beginning. The world seemed vast, yet perfectly aligned for them, filled with light, love, and endless possibility. Emily and Mark arrived at a quiet forest clearing, where sunlight streamed through a canopy of golden leaves. The air smelled of pine and earth, carrying a calm serenity that felt almost sacred. Birds chirped in gentle harmony, and distant streams gurgled over moss-covered rocks. Emily knelt to touch a fern, feeling the softness and vitality of the forest floor. "It's like the world paused just for us," she whispered. Mark smiled, watching dappled light dance across her face. They both breathed deeply, the past struggles seeming distant, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude. Each rustle of leaves and sunbeam felt like a promise. Together, they realized that every journey, every hardship, had led them to this perfect equilibrium. They were ready to embrace the fullness of life with courage, hope, and unshakable trust in each other. They followed a winding path deeper into the forest, the sunlight shifting with each turn, creating a mosaic of light and shadow on the ground. Emily laughed as a small squirrel darted past, and Mark joined in the spontaneous joy. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, weaving dreams, memories, and hopes into the air. Every step felt lighter, the weight of uncertainty lifted entirely. The forest seemed alive, as if it acknowledged their journey and rewarded them with beauty and calm. The vibrant greens, earthy browns, and golden sunbeams harmonized perfectly, reflecting the harmony they had found within themselves and each other. Nature, silence, and soft laughter merged, crafting a moment that felt infinite and eternal. At a crystal-clear waterfall, Emily and Mark paused, mesmerized by the cascading water glinting in the afternoon sun. Mist hovered above the pool below, creating tiny rainbows in the refracted light. Emily reached out, letting droplets land on her fingertips, and Mark laughed softly at her childlike wonder. They spoke of all they had learned, how fear had shaped them, and how love and trust had guided them forward. The waterfall roared gently, yet its rhythm felt meditative. They realized that every ending was also a beginning, and every step they had taken prepared them for this moment of pure connection with nature and each other. The forest, the water, the sunlight, it all felt aligned with their hearts, echoing their newfound peace. As dusk approached, they climbed a gentle hill overlooking the forest and distant mountains. The sky transformed into a gradient of oranges, purples, and deep indigos. Emily rested her head on Mark's shoulder, and they both took a long, reflective breath. Memories of trials, laughter, and moments of vulnerability passed silently between them. They realized that every challenge had forged a deeper bond, and the world now seemed rich with endless possibilities. A gentle wind stirred, carrying the scent of wildflowers and pine. Stars began to twinkle above, reflecting in the distant rivers below. They felt infinite, as though the universe had expanded just to make room for their growth, courage, and the love they shared. Every heartbeat resonated with hope, joy, and profound gratitude. Finally, they reached the edge of the hill, where the last rays of sun painted the sky in fiery gold and deep violet. Emily turned to Mark, holding his hands tightly. "This is just the beginning," she said, eyes shining with determination and love. Mark nodded, feeling the same resolve. They gazed at the horizon, where mountains met sky and rivers reflected the light, knowing they would face life together, strengthened by trust, courage, and the lessons of every journey. The world felt alive, endless, and perfectly aligned. Their hearts beat in rhythm with the universe, full of hope, joy, and the promise of infinite adventures ahead. They stepped forward together, ready to embrace the future, hand in hand, hearts intertwined, spirits unbroken.